Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this week's session 20 of Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. My name is Delilah De La Rosa. I am the founder of Depth Worldwide, which puts on this series, Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. To my side here is Steven Morrison. He's the creator of Spiritual Workout, where we receive this unconventional wisdom on grief and loss, as well as the author of An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age. Da-da-da-da-da. This book here is such a great book. Just like Spiritual Workout is such a great practice for what we are speaking about here in this unconventional wisdom on grief and loss. I need to fix these couple of sorry guys, we are live and direct.
Raw and unedited.
As I've mentioned, for people who have been with us in the last couple of weeks, I went on this month-long project to clear out my mom's former apartment in the Bronx, and which has now become my dad's current apartment with his lady friend of 20 years. I mean, his partner of 20 years. And so my place in New York City is, I've done a really good job of making room for
physical items.
Yes, for the physical. Yes, I've done a good job to make room for the physical stuff that I wanted to keep. My mother's keepsakes, clothes and all that stuff that I wanted to keep, as well as some things that I'm storing for when I'm going to give them to folks in the family. But with that said, I have a small apartment, and so every little space is occupied. So if I move a little too far this way, I'm going to bump into her posters. All right, let me get this out of the way. This is week 20. This whole series came about because my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer last year, August, and then passed away shortly thereafter in November 4th to be exact. And today marks 7 months since her transition. So, interesting how the 20th week, the 20th session comes, right on the 7-month mark. I don't think we've had a session that fell right on a particular anniversary. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
We'll get into it later.
So mom, if you are tuned in right now, welcome. Definitely really felt how much I missed you today. Been feeling that way the last couple of days. Also, welcome Duder, if you are here, tuned in.
He's all about this project.
He's one of the subjects of An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age. Steven's partner, who passed away in 2005. Almost 20 years now. Wow, 20 years is like a thing.
20 years, 20 weeks for us tonight.
Yeah. Oh, right. Except 20th session. Okay. And to anyone and everyone in the non-physical who's tuned in, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome aboard. All right. So let's get right into it. These last couple of days, like the last week since our last session, Um, Probably okay. This past weekend, going into Monday, was probably the heaviest and saddest that I have been since the weekend before my mother passed away, as well as that full week after she passed away, when I had those horror type nightmares that weekend that she passed. And then I was like, what the hell was that? And it was like freaked out and totally in disarray, because I was just like, whoa, what's going on? But the heaviness that I felt on Monday, it felt, I remembered this too. It felt like how I felt when I was walking through Morningside Park and I called you that Friday before she passed away. And I was just like, I'm okay with everything,
Yeah.
And it was just feeling like this profound like heaviness, in my system. And I realized on Monday that that's what it felt like. That's what that was in my body. And I had some moments of wondering why this was happening.
You mean in the recent days?
Yes, on Monday. Like, why did it come up like that? Like, very similar to that weekend before she passed away. I would say that the days before and yesterday and going into today felt a little more like that full week after she passed. But on the weekend and on Monday in particular, it was just like that heaviness in my body the weekend before she passed and I called you, and so I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. Very weepy last week. Very, very weepy.
Yeah.
So much so that we had sort of an emergency tapping session on Monday. Just for folks to know, I have reached out to Steven, and thankfully he had some time, because I did do my, self-soothing type of tools. I was just trying to see what I can do to soothe, feel better, lots of tapping on my own. That was the homework from last week too, soul work from last week, so definitely lots of tapping and different types, general, specific, blah, blah. I know that I'm not sure if it triggered it or if it was a result of how I was feeling already. But when my period didn't come, when it was scheduled to come, I immediately went into a like I immediately said, how cruel. Because I'm scheduled to go to Grenada next week. First vacation since my mom passed away. And like tropical vacation, right? Since my mom passed away. And um and I just immediately said how cruel. Because I was like, what is going on? And I just felt so powerless. And then it also brought up a lot of like existential questions like, what am I doing with my life? And why is it that I am not able to feel excited? You know, I was worried about not being able to feel excitement. And thankfully we did that tapping session together on Monday night.
And just for the record, in these 20 weeks, that's the only time we've done anything other than what we've recorded right here.
Right. Outside of, yes, exactly. Because I was, I was doing my soul work, right? Like I was doing that. But yeah, this was I was like, yeah, it's not, it's not happening with me myself right now. I need a little extra direction. And thank God, because one thing that came up was this idea, this belief, I can't afford to have cloudy days.
Right.
And that made
You want to describe what you mean by cloudy day?
A cloudy day meaning like you're feeling down. You're not feeling in alignment. You're not feeling the joy, kind of hard to soothe, weepy, you know.
The idea being that all of the alignment is like the sun on a cloudy day. It's always there. Sometimes we get a little away from it.
Cloudy.
And it's, like on a cloudy day. That's.
And so that made me feel like a relief, a sense of relief when you brought that up, because that was exactly it. This is why timing was, I'm feeling really sensitive to time. And believe me, I've done a lot of the tapping on time running out, all of that. We addressed that in the tapping session.
And by the way, let me just say, you didn't start that on Monday, it was, with this, heaviest, saddest stuff. It wasn't what you were presenting to me.
No, I was more speaking more specifically on the, like, I want to get my period, like what's going on.
And vacation's coming. I want to get ready and feel good with that. Yeah, she didn't mention any of this heaviness like the week before her mom died.
Right. I mean, I did mention that I was feeling weepy and all that, but I felt that it was like, I felt that this triggered that whole thing. But then in the tapping, realized that it was, I think actually, I can't afford to have cloudy days. I can't afford to feel down.
Right.
When I was looking at one of the sessions from a couple of weeks back, we talked about what crying meant to me. And you mentioned that to really like let it out, because I asked you, I was like, the only thing is that sometimes when I have these commitments, that's where I like don't want to go there, because I feel really drained and tired afterwards. And then I have to go and do these commitments, and that's where we talked a little bit about trying to contain that. And you were like, look, I'm not saying you're standing in line in the bank, and you're like, but we talked about that, and it was just cool to see how, in going back to those weeks, how much they're speaking to what I'm feeling these days, or what I have been feeling these days. Because I am putting a deadline on my process.
Tisk, tisk.
I am, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I just want to stay on this piece for a second. So you're talking about in our tapping, in our little midweek, little extra session, the idea coming up of not being able to afford a cloudy day, right? So what is that? A belief. I can't afford a cloudy day. If I put a gun to your head that day and said, tell me what you're believing, I don't think you would have said the words, I'm believing I can't afford a cloudy day. Would you have? So this is what I'm always harping on in terms of this concept that beliefs matter. So in listening to you, I just hear a belief, and then I spew it out, and it'll either resonate or not. But that's where that comes from. That's just from a practice of hearing. And I know you know this, and you experience it all the time too. You're talking to a friend who's like, oh, blah, 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 and you're hearing what she's believing underneath it all. And that's all I was doing the other day with you, was hearing, what must she be believing right now in order to be where she is? Well, hey, Delilah. Well, I got to throw it into a tapping session, which is always fun because people are either like, oh, that totally resonates, or it doesn't.
Oh, it totally does.
And it did instantly, yeah. So I just wanted to underscore, practice-wise, that's really all we're talking about here. It's not a magic pill. It's just what's going on. I'm feeling a certain way. Then what's the belief that's creating that feeling and all that other stuff? And that's our practice, so much a part of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if you heard the...
I hear it.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, home. It sounds like home.
I'm like, wow, it sounds really loud right now. Yeah. It's because I have the windows open. It's pretty warm over here. Yes to all of it. Yes to all of it. I love having the awareness. Like it's like when you brought up that line, relief, because I was like, yes.
All right, so now I have to pounce on that. I feel relief. I'm all blah, 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 and then a new thought came.
It's like it was almost like inadvertently tapping for inquiry.
Yeah. So then a person who's in distress, quote unquote, and gets a new thought, I can't afford a cloudy day, and then feels immediately a sense of relief, feeling. The relief is evidence that thought is an aligning thought.
Yeah.
And you felt it. And again, underscoring our practice is this. We had somebody today in spiritual workout this morning, and the question was some sort of thing. So you've got all these things going on. Real quick, listen to inspiration. Which one wants your attention right now? Before I even finished the sentence, she had the answer. And before she even gave me the answer, or as she's giving me the answer to the question of all the things on your plate, and I ask you the question because I want to know what her inspiration is saying to her, and it says it immediately, and as she's relaying it to me, she's already judging what the inspiration said. Well, that thing of all the 20 things on my list, I'm like, stop. You already blew the experiment. The question is, what did inspiration say? And the inspiration said this one. And then, steamroller, here it comes immediately. Now I'm going to judge what my inspiration says. Yes. So our practice is beep, 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 back that steamroller back off of the initial response, which is always the first one, and it's usually pretty quiet. And then you hear it, and the next thing is to choose to act on it or not. So I was harping on this person. I said, this should be an experiment. You already have an intention to grow your listen to inspiration muscle. Here's a perfect opportunity. Back that steamroller of judgment off. Go to that initial idea, do that thing, and then report back in. Anyway, so I'm pouncing on this, but the beliefs, the listening to inspiration applied to all of us all the time, including when we are in a grief and loss experience. Okay, go
on. 100%. I felt a tremendous amount of relief, and I knew that my body was definitely in like heightened mode from the past couple of days. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I definitely felt a lot of relief there, and I wanted to continue feeling a little more relief in my system with, I put on like, I think I put on some ASMR and some sound bath music or stuff, you know, some sound bath sounds. Mm-hmm. That were really, and I was just like, and I literally said to myself as I was like on the couch, can I feel this way in the daytime, like when I wake up? You know, because I was feeling like neutral, and that's where it entered the idea that I was scared about waking up, because of how that sensation in my body is so difficult to navigate sometimes.
Okay, so you got it from sensation down to neutral, which is always, or up to neutral, which is always, you know, at a minimum, if we're in neutral, we're doing okay, right? So you got it to that neutral place, maybe thinking of going to sleep, and then worried that as soon as you wake up, it's just going to be back again.
You know what?
Is that?
I think I may have the timetable wrong. I think it may have been either from Sunday to Monday or Monday to Tuesday. But yeah, there was a place of where I was feeling very soothed. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. Like I was feeling like, okay, this is, if I'm not 100, mm-hmm. but I can get to this, mm-hmm. this is, I can deal with this, you know? I can deal with this. This feels like, oh, it feels nice that I can soothe.
Yes.
While I am going through this, because it was just bringing up existential questions, and like I just was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? It's like a lot going on. So yes, I did it. The thought entered my mind of, I want to feel like this in the morning. I'd like to feel like this in the daytime when I wake up, you know, intention.
Yes.
Intentions matter.
Exactly.
I like to feel like this. And
so
then,
that's an intention, everybody. I want to feel this way in the morning. Okay. I'm going to intend to feel this way in the morning.
That essentially sparked the thought of how I was waking up. Mm-hmm. And that's where the steamroller.
Yes, exactly.
I'm trying to remember if I tapped or not. I think I did. Mm-hmm. I think I did. And then I just went to like sleep. After we did the tapping, and I was just reminding myself of, wow, I am putting a deadline, my own deadline on my process here. Why am I doing that? What am I believing? That is.
Well, first tell me when that thought came to you, can you identify how you felt then in that moment?
Which thought?
That, what did you just say? The thought that just
can I feel like this in the daytime?
I don't think that's the one I was just thinking of. Anyway, keep going. It'll come back. My apologies.
So I thought to myself, oh, that, okay, putting a deadline on my process.
That's the thing. Thank you. The deadline.
Putting a deadline on my process. Right. And why am I believing that? What am I believing that has me
such that you have the deadline?
Yeah. Yes. And I started getting very sad about I started getting sad because I think that this deadline comes from two things. A little concerned about my being in this pattern forever. Mm-hmm. I think there's some of that, like.
Do you mean a pattern where you can be sort of humming along and then have a time like the weekend and Monday where the heaviness is as big and heavy as it's ever been? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and then also just some of the fearful thoughts that can come up. You know, the timing stuff, the not being able to, some of these beliefs that I've been addressing. I think also, you know how you said that there's some people when they're going through this process, they're having this experience that they don't want to go there with the crying, with the feeling that those emotions sentimental, because they don't know if they can stop. Correct. So I never felt like I never felt that way about crying. However, I'm seeing that I have an aversion. I have some fears about staying in depression, feeling down. And because one, I don't like the way it feels. Okay. Consciously, maybe subconsciously, there's other stuff going on. Okay. But consciously, I don't like the way it feels. Okay. And I also think that I'm concerned about how that affects my relationships and my life. Okay. Yeah. Like I do feel self-conscious about it a little bit with my husband. There's also this sense. I went in deep. Okay. I was like, and I was able to do that because of the tapping that I was doing too.
Yeah. Well, and because of your intention to.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, whatever, however you characterize it.
Mm-hmm. And the overarching intention
Mm-hmm.
is, with this experience,
Mm-hmm.
is to turn it into an inspirational experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to say that with an attitude, but
No, that's clear, and thank
I
you.
just try to make it very clear to myself and to everyone.
That's why I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, that is the overarching intention, you know.
Say that
And
again.
that
For this
this to
grief
be
and loss
an
process.
inspirational experience for me. This
Okay.
is thrusting me toward my new way of being. I'm becoming
Yes.
an even better version of myself, or
Well,
who I'm meant to be.
and my favorite way to say that is you already are
Yeah.
what you are becoming.
Okay.
So you're not so much becoming, that's the experience of it, as much as you are shedding that which is not you.
Yes. Perfect.
Same idea.
Yes. It's almost like a literal and figurative sense of unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
So,
like becoming, but
right.
then unfolding,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
In order to become that which I'm
Yeah,
wanting to
exactly.
become, I must let go of all these things that are not me. And what do you know? Just like the sun behind the clouds was there the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to get
No, but it's important. It's an
into,
important distinction.
yeah,
And it's an important image,
good,
you know.
good.
Because it's we want to stress the fact that it's always there.
The truth of who you,
Yes.
me, and all of
Yeah,
us
exactly.
really are.
Yes.
Yes.
So, in this, and becoming clearer over this whole clock issue, putting a deadline on it. Why? Because I have concerns over being depressed.
So, go ahead.
Because of the way it feels, the way that I think that it can affect my relationships
Mm-hmm.
and my life, different areas in my life,
Yes.
health,
Yes.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the not being able to afford the
Mm-hmm.
cloudy days or
Mm-hmm.
feeling depressed, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or anxious,
Right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, it's also the time stuff comes in because I'm gonna get closer to this age now, this different chapter in my, well, I mean, different chapter, and you're like, yeah, I'm getting closer to these ages and I want to be living really well. And not, and this is something that my mom used to say,
Mm-hmm.
not let life pass you by, not let the time go by. So yeah, that brought me to so there's that, and that led me to this idea of efforting, or maybe a little nudge, pushing, and when you need to let go and receive. Knowing that line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see why it went there? Because it was more of like allowing myself to feel what I feel. Like
Yeah.
if I'm feeling
Yes.
that charge, if I'm feeling depressed, if I'm feeling anxious,
Just be
allowing myself
present
to
to what is.
what I'm feeling,
No resistance.
right? Like allowing that and allowing that so that I can allow flow.
May I offer
Yes.
another way to, or yeah. Do you have more to say about?
It was just, and it's just funny. Last thing about that is like, honestly, everything that I've been thinking about that's been coming up in the last couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I'm seeing it come up in social media, in the news. Like, you need sometimes you need the willpower. Sometimes and this is coming from like new age spiritual
I
people.
know,
Okay?
I
So
know.
like sometimes, and I was like, okay. And then I hear other things. It's just like, no, that's the last thing you want to do when you're not in alignment. Inspired action, essentially, right? Inspired action,
Yeah.
right? And this and that. And then I'm like, okay, let me try to go a little more granular here, because I know that when I'm feeling kind of fatigued in my body, there's two ways that I go. One way is that like there's no other way but rest. Like, don't think about doing anything. You just need to like relax and rest. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because you're tired. That's it. Then the other way that I go with fatigue
Mm-hmm.
is I need a little movement
Mm-hmm.
to build some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And I can discern a lot
Yes.
a lot of the time these days what I kind of need.
Yes.
So this is what I'm saying about the whole like pushing, nudging a little bit, efforting a
But
little
this
bit.
is where, and you're saying it, you're describing what you're doing, which is really feeling your way through it, listening to
Okay.
inspiration. You know what, right now, do I need rest? Do I need to push myself a little bit? I know the difference. I'm just, worst that'll happen. I mean, this is that belief. We'll know what to do when it's time to do it, right? It's time to take a rest. It's time to nudge myself a little bit. You'll know this is what inspiration's all about. This is the guidance. We're never without it. Never without it. And I have a lot to say about what you've been saying.
Please, because I am it feels obviously you see there's a lot going on in my
Yes,
inner world. I've been doing my tapping, which is good. Um,
yes.
and it's getting me clearer to things that's in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm also feeling it in my system. Like it feels so real.
Well, it is for you.
Yes.
Real is different than true, but that's
Yes.
beside the point for the moment.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. I want to do whatever I can, given this project, to help you be as invested, by which I mean thinking about it all the time, feeling it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
as invested as you are today in sadness, heaviness, fear, fears about staying in this place, fears about effects on relationships, starting with the one that's primary in the house where you live. And I should have started with this, driven by the intention that you have for your personal, quote unquote, grief and loss journey to itself be an inspirational experience. That means using the circumstances of our lives as the vehicles for growth that they are.
Yes.
So your intention for this to be an inspirational experience will come from your alignment with, as we've been saying, with truth, what resonates, what feels comfortable, what lights you up, what excites a little bit, what's at least just neutral compared to all the other stuff. So I'm so wary of saying some of these things in certain ways, but really my desire for you is that you become as invested, thinking wise, feeling wise, in your intentions for your new way of being, in your intentions for the life you want to live, in your intentions for the kind of relationships you want to have, your intentions for the you that you want to be in this world, that you say you are becoming. So the only way to make all of that add up to an inspirational experience is to stay aligned with truth.
Okay.
The sadness, the heaviness, we touched on it before. We have to, when it's there, acknowledge it, not resist it, not run away from it, not pretend it's not there, not say we'll get back to it later, just allow it. That's it. But we don't have, there's a huge difference between allowing it and indulging it.
Okay. Hands up.
You in the back.
Hands up. I know this is spiritual workout 101, but I need a reminder.
That's what I'm here for.
How do I allow it again? What does that look like again?
So
because I don't want to indulge it.
Right. What it looks like is, wow, it's been 7 months. I haven't felt this degree of, and I've had, I'm really moving through this process. These many months have been, every week, every month, there's something big, from shifting the apartment over and making decisions with my brother and, just adjusting to life. And, oh yeah, I can't call my mom right now. And all these, and I got to go clear stuff out. And, oh yeah, my husband's here. I should pay some attention to him, whatever it is. Right. And so the way it looks is, so everything means what we make it mean. If we don't have shiny, clear intentions to go to, we tend to get trapped and we tend to perseverate on the very things that we don't want more of. So the way that would look is, wow, I did not expect to have a day of feeling as heavy as I felt, in the days before my mom actually passed, when I sensed and saw what was likely to happen. I have not, I've had all these other times, some of which have been really light and breezy. And now I'm having a heavy, heavy day. So the only question is, so what? So what? Now, the answer to that question will guide where a person goes. If it's so what, and it's like, well, I just have more to feel here. I have more to process. I've not touched this sadness. I've not touched this heaviness. I've not allowed it before. I've not, whatever it is, that might be a response, right?
May I ask something about
Sure.
that in particular? Because what came up when I asked about that, about why am I feeling this way, like how I felt the days before. And what scared me was this idea that I was like forecasting something.
Right. So there you go. So you've answered the question. My question is, so what? You say, well, here's what, so what? So what is, I'm now perhaps starting to create a future full of this. Brilliant answer. To which I would say, I know you have a better idea for yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Let's now shift to that better idea, because you can create your own reality and you are doing it. And if you don't want that reality, you already have articulated the one that you want. Switch, pivot, as the kids say these days.
Intentions matter. They matter.
Intentions matter.
They matter. I'm focusing too much on my beliefs mattering, and they're spooking me out. They're spooking.
Well, beliefs that don't serve you.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you can see a belief
because I'm thinking beliefs do matter.
Yeah.
And they don't trump anything, but the limiting beliefs.
Correct. The ones that don't serve. So beliefs, we have a right to all the beliefs we have. Just a quick little primer on this concept. Beliefs matter, right? Every single one of us has a right to whatever belief we currently have in this moment about anything in the world. The only question ever, and there's no judgment about any of that. The only question is, do the beliefs I have, or does this belief that I have serve me or not? If it does, rock on, live your life, keep going. If it doesn't, change the belief. But what we're talking about here, intentions and beliefs go hand in hand. But what we're talking about here, Delilah, is getting stuck a little bit in, whoa, okay, heaviness, sadness. I didn't see this coming, even though I know it's a nonlinear process. So what am I going to make it mean? What am I making it mean? What I'm suggesting is it doesn't ever have to mean anything other than what we decide it's meaning. Now, if this were the week after your mom passed, we would not be having this conversation, because you'd be in it like you were when we've talked about it before. And then we go through it in a different way. We process it as it's happening.
Yes. Got it.
Yes. And you've done a lot of that. So when I say, so what? It's not just to be a dick. It's to really get, what are you believing? And then when you know what you're believing, then you can go from there. But in this case, so far, most of what you're believing is stuff that you don't want to experience. They're non-serving. So I know for a fact you have shiny, clear intentions. You've even mentioned them tonight for a new way of being, for who you are and who you want to be in the world and all these things. And it's already done. And we say it all the time. In order to not get sucked into the inertia of our past and our history, we have to have intentions shiny and clear and what?
At the ready. At
the ready. To literally pivot in, oh my God, I'm going down this rabbit hole. Oh yeah, here's why. And then it's, what do I have to do to get from where I am now to alignment with this? Because alignment with this is part of my overall intention. To use this experience, everything and anything that shows up in the course of this period of grief and loss, quote unquote, as a vehicle for my growth and development. And that's how you would do it, I think, this week. And the act of doing, oh, here's that shiny, clear intention. Here it is at the ready. Oh yeah, I can do a little, I can tap myself into alignment with it. Then you're home free for that day, right? And if in that particular moment, there's something big and heavy that needs attention, like it would have 7 months ago and did, then we address it. But I'm always suggesting to start with intentions. Here's what I've already said I want. When I was thinking clearly, when I invested time and energy into it, when I did 8 drafts of it or 12 drafts of it and got it just right, this is what I've said I wanted. So let me just turn to that and realign with that. I always am encouraging us to see, can you get to your intention first? If you can, fantastic. And if you can't, no judgment, no demerits, then we'll deal with the other side of the equation. If this side of the equation intention is gas pedal, on the other side of the equal sign is the brake, the limiting beliefs, the non-serving beliefs. So if you can get to gas pedal and just go, go. If you can get to gas pedal and it's a little slow, go slowly. If you just can't do gas pedal, I'm sorry, I just can't right now. There's too much of it. I'm really freaked out about it. Okay, fine. Then we'll deal with getting that foot off the brake.
One question about the intentions. What I noticed is that that's also making me think about this last thing I want. Well, not last thing, but just one of the things I wanted to bring up here.
Okay.
But there's, with my intentions, I'll have like 3 types of reactions. One of them is like, oh, yes. Okay. Like it's like making me feel pumped, right? Wonderful. I know that's a good one. Next. Then there's some that I'm like, I am so not aligned. I'm going to start crying. And that's when I know I know what I need to do.
Yeah,
I'm not in alignment with this. Right. I can work it out.
Yeah, we don't stop there. We have ways of
right.
working that out. Go ahead.
And then there's some where the reaction is kind of like, do I need to rework that? Or
every single one of our intentions should make us sing, should make us be like, yeah, you're telling me that all these words I just wrote down in here and spent weeks doing, that I can have this? Yes, that's exactly what I want. You want to feel that degree. And so it's not a crime either to write an intention one day, go back to it 3 months later and say, yeah, I'm going to change some things around.
Because
one more thing, a little piece of that, maybe look the next day and the day after, because you change and your mood changes and your perspectives change.
Okay, so that's what. All right, okay, yeah, because I was
so I wouldn't call the fire department immediately. I would just give it a minute or two and just see, like, was I just looking at it in a weird way yesterday, or does this thing really need
I just feeling blah about everything and that's it,
exactly. Right.
Okay. Thank you for that, Steven. Is that all you wanted to say about?
Yes, I will get off my high horse now.
No, absolutely not. I just wanted to make sure I didn't interrupt.
This is it. Yeah, no, thank you. This is exactly the whole time you were talking. I'm like, all right, we're gonna have spiritual workout 101 here.
And this is bringing me to why. Look, guys, I know I was saying that. I know this may be spiritual workout 101, but I'm also a pretty seasoned spiritual workouter. Okay. And I knew that the investment in the intentions was a bit lacking. Right. I wasn't, like you said, making the most, the level of investment that I had in what was, or what
was wanted
was definitely like way more than going to the intentions. So here's the thing. You know how I was just saying to you about like, oh, I could look at an intention as just like, and like it makes you, like you said, sing. Very interesting how I was listening to this neuroscientific perspective on grief and loss the other day. It was like in Dr. Herman's, podcast. You know who he is, right?
No.
Oh, okay. He is huge, and he's kind of like a Tim Ferriss, but like an actual doctor. Well, Tim Ferriss is not a doctor at all. Like, but this guy's a doctor. He's an MD, I think. No, maybe he's a scientist. Okay, whatever. Yeah. The whole point is that they had an episode about what grief does to the body and the mind. And they basically, in neuroscientific terms, pretty much said a lot of what we say here
Really?
Yeah, but like in neuroscientific terms, like they had us say,
Fantastic.
and I want to send it to you, but I was like, I have to like preface it because it is like 2 hours on. I'm not even like
2 hours.
oh, I think more. I'm not even halfway through it, but it's fascinating because they're saying, from what I've heard so far, they're saying a lot of what we believe here, what we've said here, just in like neuroscientific terms, you know. But one of the things was dopamine and how folks who are in grief, who are feeling grief or grieving, really tend to want that like more like dopamine hits kind of thing. And
Dopamine is the good thing, right?
yeah, like you want to feel good.
Right.
You want to feel
I'm so
good.
not a sciencey person. That's good.
Yeah, I love that. Like you want to feel is like that pleasure.
I know. I know the word, but I don't remember exactly what's.
Yeah, it like triggers pleasure.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, I like that.
Is that like when people go running and those are endorphins?
That's endorphin. Dopamine hit is kind of like why people tend to scroll or addicted to scrolling. Because it's like an immediate like stimulus, you know.
Is it
and
a
like
stimulus or is it a distraction?
just neuroscientifically, like that's kind of what that's what it is. That's what it is. It's not, I don't know about the interpretation, whether it's good or bad, but it's essentially what happens when people do certain things.
Yeah.
It's like this instant, like, ooh, thrill.
So you're saying people who are grieving, quote unquote, are seeking dopamine hits.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was really interesting how the non-serving habits increased like tenfold this past week.
For you?
Yeah. Like
when you say non-serving habits,
like eating 2 bags of potato chips in one setting.
Staying up all night.
Staying up until 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
You know, scrolling, wanting to like be in mess, like really like liking the mess kind of thing, and like indulging kind of in it, and realizing that had such much more of a pull than my intentions, because I was conscious of the fact that I was kind of running amok with these things. Okay. And also knowing that, like, Delilah, go to the intentions, but I would go there and it would just be like not interesting enough, not as interesting as the mess. What is that about?
It's only ever in this regard about beliefs. So underneath the desire to scroll, underneath whatever any of this is still only and ever going to be a set of beliefs and choices, right?
Yeah.
So why do I keep doing this thing that I know doesn't serve me? Because on some level you believe it serves you, or you wouldn't do it. That's just the way we're wired. Doesn't mean it's the right thing for us to be doing, but we believe it is better for us than whatever any of the alternatives are. So anytime we come across anybody who's dealing with any kind of chronic, how many people do we know, starting with ourselves, I've been, quote unquote, trying to quit smoking cigarettes for 10 years, or I've been trying to lose weight for 15 years, or I've been trying to do, right? These chronic things that just go on where the person is beating themselves up all day, every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and seemingly not having a choice other than to keep doing what they're doing, when in fact someone like me would say, underneath it all, there's still a choice. None of us, apparently, really ever does anything that we don't believe serves us in some way.
Yeah.
So choice is a big part of that conversation. And also underneath, so why would I choose what I'm choosing in spite of? Because of beliefs I have underneath it all. It's still, everything's going to eventually cycle back to and be rooted in a belief or a set of beliefs. We know this. Healing occurs in the belief system of the person seeking the healing, whether that healing is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or otherwise. Is there otherwise?
I'm trying
But again, so scrolling, the way you describe it, sounds like it's not the most productive thing, right? So there's, right. So so another choice to make is investing that precious time and energy in an intention. Now, if you're not conscious of, oh, I didn't think of that, okay, fine. But now, if somebody reminds you, and the next time you're saying, wow, do I want to do this? Am I doing this on purpose? Is this serving me? Do I love doing this? Or is there some other investment of my precious time and energy that would feel better? And if it's an investment in one's consciously created intention, it will feel better. The only way it won't feel better is that idea like, well, here's my intention and here's me, and I'm not going to get to there today, or I'm not going to get there right now. But you can always get a step or two closer, and that's our practice.
Oh. Okay. The upside, I think, to these habits is,
what was that? Oh, okay.
Because of what you were saying about a couple of steps closer, right? And it made me think that, oh, okay, the beliefs of why these non-serving habits, underneath these non-serving habits, is that they give me instant gratification.
All
and
right.
this not.
So let's use that, the instant gratification. Okay, I'm feeling however I'm feeling. Now I'm going to do this thing, and I've got a little gratification. Maybe that's the entire reason I'm doing it, along the lines of what we're saying, right? So here's an opportunity. Gratification. Wow, that feels pretty good. Law of attraction's always on. Why don't I put the phone down now? And if I can conjure and hold that feeling of, boy, I am losing it tonight. That feeling of
gratification.
Yes, gratification. Thank you. You cut out, or anyway. That gratification. Now I'm going to put the phone down and say, I want to feel more gratification in my life. This feels really good. I feel so gratified. Why am I feeling that way? Then you'll start to see, what do I have to believe and think in order to keep this feeling generated? Because if I can hold it for 68 seconds, I start attracting more gratification to myself. And wow, gratification fits so well into, that's what I'm getting at with 1 or 2 or 8 or 12 of my intentions anyway. And what else goes with gratification? Satisfaction and groundedness, perhaps, or I'm making things up, but whatever they are. And then you can trade 5 minutes of scrolling, which I know goes by like that, for 5 minutes of conscious
conjuring up
intention setting. In this case, setting an intention and cultivating more of certain feelings, which is foundational to the whole thing. But again, when you have your intention shining and clear for your new way of being and how you, all that stuff, these ideas will come to you much more readily. When we don't have those intentions shining and clear at the ready, or we have them shining and clear at the ready and we kind of act like we don't and forget about them and not pivot into investing our precious time and energy there, then we're just going to continue to sit in the funk of what's unwanted.
Prolonging it.
Yeah.
When I I know that this comes up. In doing that, pivoting toward intention. Sometimes that conjuring up can feel like I don't have the energy for that.
That's your ego talking.
So
That's your resistance.
that I can go into tapping.
Yep.
Right.
Immediately.
Or sometimes you just may need a rest.
Well, but then I would also throw in this other idea, and which says I sure have the energy to invest in the shit that I don't want to keep experiencing. I sure have the energy to do this and focus my attention on it and react to every little thing. I have the energy. You're already spending the energy.
Okay. No, that's a good way to speak to it.
Good. And that idea, because everybody has it, oh, I just don't have the energy for that. That's just our ego talking.
I know that is. I know.
That's that part of us that says, do not move, do not change.
Yeah. Because sometimes I can get into that mode because I am tired, and I'll go to those habits.
At the end of the day, you're the only arbiter.
Yeah.
In terms of how it feels.
Yeah.
And what's the truth.
I like that other idea though of, look, the energy that you're spending on the scrolling and the reacting to it and the whole thing, shebang. That's a good little statement.
Good.
Idea.
Good.
Oh, well, that's very interesting that we will at least pause our weekly live stream here. And I can definitely see us coming back, maybe just not weekly, but we'll see how things unfold.
Check-ins as appropriate.
Yeah, I definitely did not realize the I don't know. I didn't think that I didn't really have very many expectations, but I guess I didn't realize how intense the intensity of what I was feeling in this whole experience would be where it was in our last session for a while. So or our last couple of sessions, because it's funny, I think you mentioned that it was like 16 weeks or something, that 12, 16 weeks.
Yeah, if somebody were to come to me and say, let's do a, bereavement group for some period of time, I would recommend, I would 12, but I would recommend 16.
Yes. And it's funny because after the 16th session or 16th week is when I started to feel these.
Right. I think, you were sort of like getting ready. Oh no,
I was like, damn, what happened?
Right, that's quite
and it was like, okay, nonlinearity.
Nonlinearity, exactly. And I just want to take a moment while we're here to hats off to you for creating this project, for your willingness to do it publicly. We could have just done everything we've done with no difference privately. But now you have given people who are seeking satisfaction, closure, resolution with regard to grief and loss. Not everybody who experiences it is seeking that for all kinds of reasons, and that's fine. But for anybody who is, now there is this archive of one woman's spiritual workout approach or process of grief and loss right here in this archive. This book is another one person's spiritual workout approach to grief and loss, such as it is. So, it's, I think it's really important work. I think you have given a tremendous gift, and I hope that for the rest of your life, you receive tenfold that which you have given. And I know that will be the case.
Thank you so much. To me, it feels like nothing to do that. It was a very inspired act.
Yes, I realize that.
It wasn't, it feels like, easy breezy.
And that's why I was so willing to do it as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's been so useful for me, helpful for me. And, when we first started doing this, and to hear or see the reactions of some people that either saw it or they heard from me that I was doing this, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's so generous of you." And I was like, "Oh, I guess, because I guess a lot of people don't want to share this stuff."
I had the same experience when I published this book.
Oh, okay.
And people started to, react and respond to it. And the overwhelming number one response to people reading that book that they shared with me was, wow, that was really personal.
Yeah.
And I was, I'm like, well, really? And they were like, some people were almost like, I feel like I shouldn't even be reading this. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Really? Like, wow. Because by the time I got to the point where inspired action was, write a story about this, write it up. I had already processed it. In my particular case, this book is just me reporting the news. Here's a year of my life, and here's what happened, and here's when it happened. This is none of it's made up, and here it is. And if this is of use and value to you in the world, fantastic. I hope it will be. That's really why I did it. But I think that personal part was really, it was when I was going through it, but it's no longer it. I think I even wrote these words somewhere in there, that it stopped feeling to me like just my story and started feeling like much more of a, all of us story. And that it could be, it's a well-worn path, somebody writing a book because they had some experience and they think it'll help somebody else. I mean, that's, we've been doing this since the beginning of time. So, and you just did another version of that, and I got to be a part of it, and I know we'll continue. We're not shutting the door on this process. It's nonlinear. It's going to keep going, and I trust we'll check in as and when we do, which will be when you want to. But really, again and again, thank you for the project and for your choosing to do it with me.
Oh,
or this part of it. I know you have a whole battery of practitioners, which is great.
No, well, I mean, but this is definitely a very integral part of the process for me. So,
good.
Yeah, I really appreciate your helping me here, guiding me along, facilitating. As always, you know how much I love spiritual workout, and like the impact it's had on my life, especially this particular experience in my life. It's, I think I felt really equipped in many ways when this all started and when my mother passed away, because of what I've come to believe through spiritual workout, with regard to passing, transitioning, death, quote unquote. And it made me feel those beliefs that I had, and maybe even just think ideas that I have, things that I want to believe that I perhaps am not necessarily tapping into, um, they're all there, and I felt like it really helped me in aligning with the intentions that I have for this experience. So yeah, I really love doing this. Every single time that we um had this session, I always felt like there was just something, like that would come up. Like I didn't feel like there were any filler sessions here. Like there was
No,
just always something that we could
I
address.
wouldn't do filler sessions.
Yeah. It's like, I guess. Yeah, no, never any of that. Everything was very much uh, very useful, very helpful
Good.
sessions here. So, yeah,
It's
I'm really
gratifying.
thankful to everyone, of course. Thank you to everyone who joined us, who tuned in, whether live or the recordings. Um, as we mentioned, this is going to be the last for a little while, I guess, until we figure out not the very last one, but the last weekly one,
Yeah.
for now, because next week I'm heading over to Grenada for a much needed vacation. And I figured at 20 sessions, we'll see how it
Yeah, and
goes.
honestly, even if you weren't going on vacation, I think we'd be talking about
Yeah.
shifting,
Yeah.
away from weaning. What's the word?
Weekly?
No, when you
Oh,
stop weaning a baby
oh,
off yeah,
right.
weaning off weekly sessions.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, just feel
Um,
like that.
yeah, I think so. So yeah,
So
well,
soul
thank-
work, intention,
yeah,
intention, intention.
yeah, I think that that's definitely the season. Well, it's always good practice,
Yes,
but in this particular,
for you specifically now.
yeah, it's like making a concerted effort, conscious choice to
Good.
pivot or always turn that way, um, is my soul work.
You got it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Till the next time.
Till the next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.